Don't play with it, don't be dishonest. Ay, still not understand.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Rudy Shango Theopin, and I'm out here with Deontae Mack, all the way from Detroit, but currently a native of Florida. You in Miami now?
Yes, sir, man. Beautiful 305 spring break. What's happening?
Yeah, man, it's beautiful. Speaking of spring break, man, tell me a little bit about your business.
So, I'm a entrepreneur here in South Florida, and I opened a hospitality company called Vibes BNB, which is a cannabis-friendly Airbnb company here down in South Florida. So if you are coming from a recreational state and you're looking to find the vibe here in Miami, you can get in contact with us and we'll hook you up with the nearest property. You know, it's all a vibe.
I'll translate it for the people. Listen, if you want to get high, you want an Airbnb where you can get high.
Right.
You can come out there, get high, be safe while you get high. You know, everything is within the law, right? The parameter of the law. Correct. Yeah, most definitely, you know. So how long you been doing that?
So I've been doing property management since 2016, but my Airbnb career has been over a decade now.
Over a decade?
Yeah, it's been
How do you sustain the market?
Advertising, social media, engagement, pretty much just promoting and connecting people with like-minded places that they want to come down to.
Now, you're originally from Detroit. Can you give me like a comparison between Detroit? I'll give you my view of Detroit, but I just want to get your view in comparison Detroit from here in Miami, because I know it's just two different worlds.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Detroit is on the come up now. I actually hear there's a lot of investment in Detroit right now, and I'm looking to go back and get some properties out there because the cannabis scene is doing well, real estate scene, there's a lot of job opportunity there. And as far as like Miami go, everybody travels to Miami. So it's always a vibe down here. Everybody's coming from up north. The snowbirds leave, you know, right around this time to come down here to Miami. And it's pretty much like, you know, where's the money at? You know, everybody's networking, and, you know, it's a good time to go to Detroit right now and invest in some of those units up there.
Okay. So you're interested in real estate as well?
Yeah, I'm pretty much like a jack of all trades. I like to do everything. I'm in business development, consulting, you know, property management. I do a little bit of app design, product design. So I developed my own app that we launched on the Apple Store and Google Play Store.
What type of app? I'm really interested in tech.
So it was the app for Vibes BNB. We had a fully functioning app from 2019 to 2023. And that's how we were mainly servicing a lot of the people who come down here.
Is it currently active? You guys are working on
we shut it down now.
Shut it down?
Now, since Florida went went medical, and it didn't go recreational, we decided to pivot the company into more like a wellness approach. So now we do luxury condos, like targeting wellness travelers. Okay. So that's mainly what the company does now.
That's okay. That's definitely. Well, tell me again a little more about your experience in Detroit. When I first went to Detroit, it was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
That's the first time I went to Joy Road. There was no joy in the road. There was none whatsoever.
Yeah.
Someone told me stay inside. I'm hard-headed. I didn't stay inside. Saw some crazy stuff. And I was like, this place is wild.
Yeah, you know,
this place is wild.
Detroit has its reputation, you know, Motor City first. But, you know, I think over the last 10 years, it's definitely made a change. And now it's time to start going back to the city and investing in the right things there. So, you know, it's here and there.
Very rich history. I think one thing that I appreciate out of many things I appreciate out of in the D was how rich the history was. You had soul food restaurants that been there since the 1950s, 1940s, I believe.
Right.
There was some like strong history. And what was really interesting is in some communities, you had the grandmothers who are still in the home. So like you had the feeling of neighborhood. I say it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood because I feel that we lost neighbors, or we have hoods. Right. So there was a place in time, me being 41, where you knew your neighbor, right? You were well aware of your neighbor, but now we're at a place where you don't know your neighbors. Everyone's stuck in their house. And I think Detroit still have some of that feeling of it's still a neighborhood. Like, you know who lives in those 5 blocks, rows of house. They know each other.
Right.
They go to attend the same churches, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. One of the most interesting things that I saw, you know, with Detroit is when they were allowing people to buy property for $1. You remember that?
They did the same thing in Harlem.
Yeah. And it's like, it's not a trap, but you really got to know how to get into real estate and wholesaling because, you know, once you buy that property for the dollar, you still got property tax and the other different things that you got to, you know, have on top of it. But, you know, a lot of people went over there and started buying up real estate, and the development has really changed. So, you know, I think it's a powerful thing that the city of Detroit is coming back up, you know, for people like us who came from that city, you know, and came down to do other things in other states.
What was one of your profound moments when you think of Detroit?
Going to Eastern Michigan. That was, you know, going to college there for that first year in 2011. You know, that was my first time kind of getting into college life. And I thought it was like Stomp the Yard. So my most profound thing was realizing that the movie Stomp the Yard was nothing like college. That's pretty much what I thought it was.
How was it?
No, it was dope. You know, I applied to be Kappa Alpha Psi.
Okay.
I ended up like applying, but ended up moving to Florida that very next year. So I didn't end up finishing it. But, you know, I was getting ready to go through Greek life right there in Michigan before I came down here to FIU. And
what do you think about being out here in Miami? What do you think about the culture in Miami? I know,
man,
that facial expression it tells me everything.
I tell everybody that I moved down here for the women, the school,
okay,
and pretty much to find a career in something that I enjoy doing. So once I kind of came down here and I saw that FIU was popping, U of M was popping, and Jacksonville and all these different schools, I applied to FIU and I got a scholarship the very first time.
Who got better women, Michigan or Florida?
Oh,
be careful. Be careful. You won't.
Florida,
of
course.
Smart.
Florida
smart
always
guy.
has the most
Smart
beautiful
guy.
people in the world. You already know what the vibe
Which
is,
city?
man. Broward. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, wow.
Miami, of course. You already know.
Don't go to Broward County.
Yeah, no, don't go to Broward. They told me to stop. They when I first visited, when I first drove down here to Miami from Michigan, they told me the place to stay away from was Miami Gardens. That's
Miami
where they
Gardens?
said all of the activity happens.
I can't say that because I'm across the street from Miami Gardens.
For real?
His opinion is his opinion alone. It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
My sister's in Miami Gardens. I love you. He's by himself.
Yeah. Shout out to Stadium Hotel, man. That's where I stayed at the first time I came down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's went through a lot of changes now. I think they rebuilt that stadium now, the one that's next to the El
remodeled
Palacio Sports Hotel.
Yeah, they're going through some changes and some development. So Are you currently dating or you're in the market?
I am off the market. I'm kind of just focused on business and trying to connect people and get this money.
You know, it's interesting you said that because, you know, a lot of the guys in my circles, we got a male circle. We actually got a circle. Let's know about the circle. And there's a constant conversation about the relationship, the dating scene out here. Yeah. And, you know, sometimes people say it's Miami is a crazy market. What do you think has been playing a variable in these relationship scenes?
Playing a what?
What's a variable that's just influencing this? It's the whole notion of, and you let me know if you experience this, and this is what I'm hearing, is that men are leading with their money and women are leading with their assets.
I think a leading variable is social media got us all fucked up. Can I say that?
Yeah, go and speak.
I just think that's what it is.
Yeah.
If you're in a committed relationship, congratulations, you've beat the matrix. But if you are not in a relationship, then it's just a steady grind of finding a path through Christ. And that's, you know, if you're on a mission with another person and you have a common goal to get somewhere, then you can align yourself with that person in the goals and the core values that they have, and you try to forge a path forward there. Relationships are not for happiness; it's for, you know, you to become one with the other person. So
that's interesting.
You know,
I
Bishop T.D. Jakes, right? Run while you're young.
I personally have a philosophy in regards to relationship. I believe that every man should strive to find a person that they feel will make them be the better version of themselves. And likewise, I don't believe in the whole notion of compatibility. So I hear people say things that, well, I'm looking for this person because I'm like this.
Right.
And I know it sounds cliche about opposite attract. I think our weaknesses can be our counter strength and vice versa.
Right.
And we're designed to work in unison. I think that in all relationships, we're going to go through the same challenges, because there's no way around it. I used to tell guys when they complain about women, I said, no matter which woman you choose, it's gonna be a challenge. Yes. It's gonna be some form of struggle, and vice versa, right? Because you're just picking your struggle. I think love has been, the whole concept of love and loving each other in a healthy sort of manner is what we're missing. Because we watch television and we see romance, and I don't think that's love. I think love is a battlefield. Right. Like, if you love someone, and I always say, I say that to people when they say, I love you, you willing to die? Right. Are you when you're willing? Yeah. When you're willing to die, you love that person. For sure. You know, because you don't think twice about death when love is involved. Mm-hmm. What's your viewpoint?
So for me, it's like, I was just talking about this the other day. I think that it takes a lot to get into a relationship. And I think a lot of us are so guided by what our parents had and what the stability was there when there wasn't social media around, when there wasn't phones, when there wasn't, the ability to have access so much in today's society. So it was a lot easier for your mother and your father to stay together and kind of go through the growing pains. But with us in 2025 and this generation, especially in Miami, it's just, everybody has that saying about Miami is like the hardest place to date in the world. Everybody's either an OnlyFans creator or they're looking to, be in some situationship. So, personally for me, I view love as, someone taking the time to call you and do the little things. That's really what it's about for me. Understanding, how that person feels and reacting to the different situations that you come up with that person. And if you can get through those for 3 months or 6 months or a year, then you can marry that person because you've been through pretty much everything. So it's just a constant battle of ups and downs. And I think that, most people figure it out if you're willing to go through the growing pains. That's it.
I think there's an element of, as it pertains to love, there's an element of struggle that's beautiful in love, right? And that's what the inspiration comes from, when you meet someone and you're able to say, this person is so amazing to me that I'm willing to make sacrifices. I'm willing to be uncomfortable. Because in my viewpoint, there's no such thing as love without sacrifice. Correct. Right? There's no love without sacrifice. There's no love without respect. Right. And discipline. There's no love without compromise. Right. So sacrificing is in a lot of respect is a form of compromising. You did mention like how back in the days, how parents didn't have the social media for the distraction. But a counter argument to that is that back in the days, if we historically look, women didn't have the ability to work, back in the days. So it's just
staying in the house.
Yeah, they stayed in the house. So they were dependent on the man. Were they miserable? When you talk to, it was an element of lack of opportunity, whether it's education or employment, and they used to put up with a lot. And then you have a new generation who's not putting up with anything. Yeah. So how do you like find the medium? Because the big thing that I feel that we're missing is honest expression in general, in society in general. I feel that it's easy to be fake. To lie and be fake is easy, right? But those lies, it don't sustain itself. It's going to always be revealed. Whereas if you're able to be sincere and vulnerable, right, which is difficult, particularly for men, because as men we get vulnerable, and you'll that one time you cry, God forbid you get in an argument.
Right.
You know, you were crying like a little.
Yeah.
Now you hate this individual because you unveiled yourself. You revealed yourself to that individual in order for that person to weaponize it.
Correct.
At the first argument.
Yeah, and that's something a lot of, we deal with a lot, weaponization of different words and terms and things like that. So we just, society teaches us to keep it in, right? Be a man. That's what they say. So
it's not healthy.
It's not. But most of us who are emotionally intelligent and have the right mindset understand, who we are and how to express ourselves in the correct way to the other person. And once you've mastered yourself, then it's easier to, for the law of attraction to work in your favor. That's what I believe.
Yeah, I believe in the theory of law of attraction in a lot of regards. I believe that I believe a positive mindset can actually bring about a positive outcome. I believe, Rumi has a quote, everything you're seeking is also seeking you.
Right.
And I believe, and I think Wayne Dyer says something to the effect, the way you look at the world is the way the world looks at you. So essentially, if you think that this will not go good, it's not going to go good,
right,
and vice versa. And that's actually essentially part of the law of attraction in a lot of respects. And so I view it from a perspective of, if you love me, love is the ability to say, hey, look, no matter where we are, as long as we have love, we'll overcome.
Right.
I know someone who used to say, listen, as long as we have love, we're okay.
Right.
Love is a shelter. Love is a warm place. It's a shelter. If the world is ending and I'm in love, I'm content.
Yeah. It's so funny you talking about this stuff. It reminds me of Kevin Samuels when he would
not
teach
the kids. They took the man out. You gonna bring him up? No, they gonna take me out.
But he was actually teaching like these men and these women about realistic dating. So I really enjoyed his content just because he spoke from something that was relatable. And even though he was controversial, he still had a good message. Just now, when he's gone, people appreciate his message now before.
You think they appreciate his message? I know some people who had parties. They were celebrating his death. Why do you feel that Kevin Samuel is so triggering?
I'm not gonna get into that.
You gonna come for Miami Gardens? But
no, I don't want to go viral.
That's so powerful, Kevin Samuel. I think there's not a lot of men voices, right, being heard.
Correct.
And I think there's a lot of built-in frustration. And so when it does come out, it's not positive, right? And this is the reason why I feel that we need more men's circles where we can express ourselves, where we can be vulnerable with each other. And I try to cultivate men's spaces. Like I have a few WhatsApp groups, none but the guys, certain things they want to have a conversation. They're not going to say it in front of the women, right? Because they may feel embarrassed or they're just not comfortable. I had a friend of mine who said, I want to tell my sister this or my mother this, right? Because it's important for us to have those spaces to lift each other up, because you may be going through something. Like I was going through something. I spoke to a friend and he was like, I'm going through the same exact thing.
Right. Never knew if you didn't say nothing. Right.
I wouldn't know. I'm like, yes.
Yeah.
Right. So we're going through the same experiences, and sometimes, particularly as men, and I know it's Women Appreciation Month, we're going through the same thing, but because we don't communicate with each other, we sometimes think we're alone. Right. And it's important for us to be in our healthy state of mind, because the best version of ourselves makes us better dating partners, right? I could be a better husband if I'm in a better state of mind.
Correct.
Right. So it is imperative for men to be the best version of themselves for their family, for their community. And in order to do so, it takes us journeying and going to the self-discovery and honest expressions and doing the shadow work to be the man we envision to be more than just a potential, right? Because the potential is like the oil in the ground. Let's extract that oil.
Right. I I was reading a article, just a few months ago, and they said all of the billionaires that exist in the world, next to every billionaire is a powerful woman that has helped that billionaire get to where he is. So statistically, 95% of people who are really, really successful have a valuable partner that's right next to them. And that's 100% of the reason why they've gotten to where they've gotten. So, stability is important, educating yourself about continually being in a relationship, because it's always a new year, right? New journey every time, every year. And it's really about finding, how to serve God, but also, keep become individually happy so that you can be happy with one another.
How important do you believe that fate is in regards to keeping a relationship hold?
Faith. Well, as a Christian, I think it's one of the grounding forces of how to govern a relationship. I think that when you keep God in your life and you keep, the faith, that you have like a book of, it's like a operations manual for relationships. That's kind of like how I view it. And for me, it just, like going to church or doing different Bible study groups and, spending time to take care of one another and in sickness and in health, like how they say. So it's important for me. And, it's important that there is some kind of religion that they follow, because, you can't just be lost out here. I've tried to date atheists. It don't work.
Well, what you say, you try to think atheists, it don't work. I'm
too off the charts.
You have to at least believe in God. Really, that's
something
requirement.
Right.
You gotta at least believe in something, right? Well, I don't
spirituality,
because it could be negative, but
you
gotta believe in
throw some dust in the air or something.
Dust in the air, with the stones and stuff. I think fate is very important, because at the end of the day, you're gonna arrive to a place where you can't buy your way out of it, right? So I had a conversation with someone in reference to fatherhood, and they said, I pay bills. I don't want to hear nothing. I give this woman a check. And I said, you can't buy your way into being a father.
Right.
Giving the mother of your child a check for your child it's taking care of the financial needs, but it doesn't help in regards to the emotional needs. And I always reiterate the points, even to a few single mothers that I talk to from time to time. Your son wants his father.
Correct.
He wants his father. As an individual who, my father unfortunately was in jail when I was a kid, and I wanted my father.
Right.
I don't know any boy who does not want his father in his healthy state of mind.
You hear that, Dad? Little clip there. Yeah. I always share with some of my cousins that, we don't have a manual of how to live our life. So fathers are very important to understand the blueprint of the world. And you don't have to go through a whole lot of pain if you are in tune with your family, especially your father. So it's important to always check up on them, always, they're only here for a certain amount of time. So it's always important to keep the best relationship that you can with your parents. So, they're the only ones you got. And, don't be afraid to be vulnerable. I practice a lot of being vulnerable with my father. And even though he doesn't take it as well, I just tell him that this is me being uncomfortable with you. And you have to learn how to develop this kind of relationship with me, no matter what we talk about. And he's doing better. So, it definitely is important though.
Yeah. I mean, my father was an interesting guy. He was a mule.
Yeah.
Like he was a very tough guy. The interesting thing about my father was a lot of the lessons that he was trying to instill with me, it didn't resonate until he transitioned.
Right.
So it was strange, because he used to say things. He was like, the woman that you choose is going to be a reflection of who you are, and it's going to determine your destiny.
Correct.
And it's an asset or a liability, as I mentioned, and she's either going to uplift you
or
she's going to destroy you.
Yes, that is so true.
It was really interesting, because the old man used to say things, and I was just like, just leave me alone. I don't care. This chick is like, you know, I like her. It's like, it's more than you just liking her. You know, you think that you're going to choose this woman. This woman is literally, when you marry her family.
Correct.
And he said, no. I used to say, if I marry you, I marry you. What your family got to do with it? It's like, no. You think she don't love her mother? She don't love her sister? She don't love her brothers?
If she's a family-oriented person?
100%.
Right.
And I learned the hard way that when you marry someone, the saying goes, that you marry their family. And then to me, it was very important when selecting a mate that I have to get to know their parents. I have to, get to know the parents, understand their parents, to know what family I'm marrying into. And it's just interesting. So sometimes when I meet individuals and they talk about their fathers and like, oh, my father was annoying. I said, my father was too. He was nagging. He didn't understand me. My father didn't too. But to understand that it's a blessing to have your father and your mother in your life, So it's just, because sometimes it's a clash with the fathers and the son. The father is a king and the son is a prince. Now the son reaches the age. Now it's two kings.
Take over the throne. Yeah,
Can't be two kings in a house. So now you got to go and find your path.
Right.
And it becomes one of those power dynamics where he is thinking of the old ways and you're in a modern society. It's like, Father, we don't do that anymore. Father, like you don't know these women nowadays. It's you can't behave that way. They'll call you a simp, They're it's different. You gotta be tough. You can't be a nice guy. You gotta be a good guy. Those are it's just different times. I know Cat Stevens had a song called Father and Son. I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs because it reminded me of everything that my father used to say when he says, look, you want to make sure that you find your a right woman and it's going to bring your right life.
Yeah. I mean, they say the message gets amplified when people pass, right? Because you start to think about all of the teachings and different things that they taught you over the time. And you realize that it's a lot of wisdom that they pass on for a reason, right? You don't got to make the same mistake if you sit there and listen. That's why it's important to listen to your parents because they have all of the answers. Normally they can be wrong, but they also most of the time are right most of the time. So take the wisdom, take what you can out of it, and then, move forward. Try to make good decisions.
So speaking of marriage, what's your philosophy on marriage? You laugh as soon as I said marriage, right? Don't say the M word.
Sounds good. So all of the Instagram reels that I've been looking at the last 2 weeks. Reels. Yeah, man, the new TV. It says that marriage is a trap. And not to get married because it's just set up to women to take half. And if you don't work it out, and then that's always a bargaining chip that they have against you. And that just scares me as a modern millennial that is looking to date and be committed, but also is marriage a goal financially for a relationship, or is it something that the woman just wants as a fairy tale? Because that's what the parents did, right? So, I have to do it too because my mom did it and I saw her wedding and I was so happy and I want that for myself. Or should it be a goal of the relationship after you've had a certain amount of success with that person?
What happened to the romance? Every time we talk about marriage, all I hear is finance. I'm a little old school. I'm 41 years old, right? Yeah. So I'm a little old school. I'm turning 42 this year, and I come from a period of time. You were romantic.
Right.
I used to write poetry and they used to love it. We're holding hand. We didn't really have to spend that much money.
Yeah.
We didn't spend that much money. We didn't go to a fancy restaurant. I remember there was this one girl, she said something to the effect of, she said, we don't have to go out. She's like, we don't have to go out.
Right.
Let's just hang out. Let's just chill. Let's just hang out. You don't have to spend money. I just want to spend time with you. And I never forgot how I felt. I was like, yeah, this one is special.
Yeah.
Right? Because in the day and age when you're in a modern dating scene that your age group is in, where it's all about money. It's all about, I never forgot when my cousin, my little cousin, he was like 17, and it was coming on to we're heading towards Valentine, and he said, "Oh, I'm breaking up with the girl." I'm like, "Well, yeah, look at the girl. You're gonna go to prom with her. What's going on?" And he said, "Oh no, I lost my job. Like these girls, she's not gonna have it." And then I asked, "What happened to romance? Why do we have death to romance? Where is this death to romance campaign? Where has being romantic gone? Because it's like if you love me, you show me the love with the money."
I think that I think romance is still there, but it is for a select group of people who really want the individual that they are sitting across from. You're going to show more effort and do more things if you really adore and love the person that you're with. And those people don't have problems with romance, right? But it's the people who are 1 foot in, 1 foot out, the ones that don't kind of initiate that extra effort. You know, for me personally, I don't initiate romance unless I can, well, for one, I have to date that person for more than 3 months just to see if I'm really somebody that I feel can be with that person. And then there's a different level that gets unlocked with me that I start bringing flowers or, you know, the steady good morning.
3 months for flowers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why? You don't want them to call you a simp?
Yeah, no. For me, I want to see, I like to spend time with people, right? Mm-hmm. I want to do the things like go to the park, hang out, go talk, you know, do different things, see what we're aligned with. And then if I feel that there's a commitment there from me that I can internally feel in my gut, then it brings the romance out of me because I want to do the fun things that I always imagine with my partner. But I have to visualize that first in my head before I'm able to take that leap mentally. That's all. So 3 months for flowers, lady. Sorry.
3 months for flowers as well. I guess I'm a sucker for love.
Hey,
you know, when I was out there, it's like
I bought flowers for a girl on day one, and she was like, "Aw," and then threw them away.
Yeah, you don't do the day one. You're in Miami.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, I
don't like to wait. I just want to get to it.
I'm gonna speak on a friend, right? I ain't gonna say this friend name, but me and his friend, we went double dating, and that's exactly what happened. He brought flowers, and it was beautiful, a beautiful bouquet of flowers, and I just recall that when I saw the bouquet of flowers, I'm like, dude, this is a blind date. Do not give this girl flowers. No, this is not back in the days. Like, this is like, don't give her flowers. I said, give me the flowers. I'm going to give it to my woman, right? And he's like, he thought about it. He's like, nah, I'm going to give it to her. I'm like, don't be the guy. Hey, don't be that guy, man.
Shout out to him, man.
Yeah. See her facial expression? Yeah, that's exactly what the girl saw the flowers. We went to that establishment, and I'm not going to say the establishment because we can give it away. We went to that establishment, and everyone looked because the flower was just elusive, and everyone was looking. They were looking like, wow, this is so romantic. He gave that girl the flower.
On a blind date?
He gave that girl the flower, and everyone was looking like, wow. She looked at it like, kid you not, 2 weeks later, she's laughing because I'm telling the truth, wallahi. 2 weeks later, wallahi. She's laughing because I'm telling the truth. 2 weeks later, this girl was just like, man, let me get some money, man. Let me get some money. I'm like, look, I don't need this flower. I need money. I don't really like you. I just need money.
See, that's the problem with this thing.
And I'm not going to tell you where that girl's from.
Where? Nigeria?
Oh, no. Nigeria is wild.
Clip it.
She's from where you're from.
From Detroit?
I didn't want to say the name of the city, but she's from where you're from.
Yeah. From Southfield, Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, I don't know where in your city, but she's from that city.
Just from over there.
She's from that city, right? And I thought it was wild because I encourage men, don't get flowers. None of her. What do you mean? Like, don't do it. It's the wrong. Not all of them. There's women out there who's romantic who's gonna get it, but majority of them in this generation, they not like that. They not about that romance. You gonna get burned. Trust me.
Yeah, I know.
Don't. And that's why I tell the brothers in my circle, don't be a nice guy. Be a good guy.
Yeah.
Don't be nice. Be good. Nice
I used to be a nice guy.
Nice
I
is
learned
simp.
very
Good
fast that you can't be nice. You got to be.
You was one of those nice guys.
Yeah, I was in the beginning. Learning up, growing up.
That's why
my first girlfriend was white.
That's why you got that 3-month rule, because you was a nice guy.
And
someone broke your heart. Watch me tell your story
After
without knowing.
Spending money.
You
exactly.
Watch me tell you your story without even knowing. Right?
Yeah.
You was a nice guy to this girl. She broke your heart, and you like, we ain't doing this no more. 3-month rule for flowers.
For sure.
Knew it.
I definitely took a girl on a helicopter tour the first
Helicopter?
time. Yeah.
Oh, man.
I was that
Get the hell
guy
outta here.
before. I just realized you can't open up the bag that quickly, and it's just, it's here and there, but it's okay because she ain't gonna never forget that though. She's gonna be like, oh, she gonna talk to her girls and be like, yo, this guy took me on a helicopter tour. I feel like that's dope. I want people to talk about me when after the date. You want to go to the park and like sit on the grass with the blanket? That's boring to me. I just want to do something wild. Let's go jump off a cliff.
Leave her alone. Let her chill.
I'm just saying.
Helicopter, huh?
Okay. Nice guys, we out here. Ex-nice guy. I'm not doing that.
Oh, you're an ex-nice guy? So you're a good guy now?
Yeah, I'm a savage now, unfortunately.
You're a savage?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know. You look like you're a good guy. You don't look like a savage.
Don't let the looks fool
looks
you,
can
bro.
be, it can be deceiving, right?
Yeah, it can be.
So how you on savage mode? You say you were telling me you're a Christian.
Hey,
like,
there's savage Christians out there. I still follow God. We out here, man. Shout out to them peoples, bro.
Savage Christian is.
And I check right into church on Sunday to ask for forgiveness.
I can't keep my composure. Deontae, I cannot keep my composure. You are from Detroit. You just proved that you're from Detroit. Because all this. That girl who broke your heart, how old were you? When did this? Does this sound pretty?
21, man. I was a long time ago. I'm getting ready to turn 36. My birthday is in 10 days. I'm turning 36 now. I've leveled up emotionally, spiritually, financially, mentally. We all have our simp days, right? So
how long was your simp? What was your simp period?
For maybe a year or two.
That's not bad.
Listen, you got to go through those women who gonna use you and tell you what's up. Some of those girls are very mean to me, but I learned my lesson. So thank you.
Nah. 1 or 2 years is not a bad. I know some people who've been simping for like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah,
I had one girl was. It was about a year. It was about a year.
Right.
It was about a year, and then when I found out, I was like, wow. And then I did the whole savage thing, and I'm like, yeah, I wanted to, be myself, which is romantic, because But you think that savage mode is good for the mental state, or do you think you should go to being a good guy? So what happens is a girl breaks your heart, right?
Yeah.
So you're a simp, you're a nice guy, right? Every guy, in my viewpoint, I believe every guy has at one point in his life been a simp, right? So there's always a girl that you simped for, right? So myself included, so I'm not exempt, right? So you was a simp, aka nice guy. She broke your heart, so you became just a savage, the ugly savage guy. And, then people get to the bad side, and then people get to a good side, and you stay good, and you don't go to nice, because nice is going back to simp, and that's where the person takes advantage.
Right. It's just learning to say no a little bit more often. That's all. That's all it is.
You truly believe that you're on savage mode?
In 2025, not anymore. I want to say 21 through 27. And then right when I started my business development and Airbnb career, I had other things to do. So I learned to be a little bit more mature.
Do you believe that women can be a distraction, particularly achieving your goal?
The wrong woman can be a distraction. The right one can be everything that you need and more, right? So it just depends on the qualities, right? And if she watched Bad Girls Club and Zeus.
Oh, not Bad Girls Club. Atlanta Housewife as well.
All of that.
What else? What's the other thing? Tubi.
Right.
Tubi, Atlanta Housewife. Help me out. Who? Jocelyn,
right.
the stripper Jocelyn show.
Right. I think a lot of those TV shows, a lot of those things, they influence just the baddie girl era of what everybody's doing now. And that's
not the Bachelorette.
Huh?
He said the Bachelorette, not the Bachelorette. That's wild.
Right.
Not the Bachelorette. Bachelorette is wholesome. We'll deal with the Bachelorette.
Yeah. Some of the shows are good. They deal with realism, but all these fight shows, and it's a lot, man.
So talk about the baddies, and we about to wrap it up. What is a Miami baddie or a city girl? Baddies, city girls, IG models. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Well, for me, it's just somebody who, I don't know, man. They spend a lot of money on looking a certain way, trying to attract the NBA athlete type of, vibe. I don't know. I always get confused when
Would you marry a baddie or an Instagram model?
If she's not too heavy with her makeup, yeah. I don't like makeup too much.
So if she wasn't a cake face and she was a baddie, you would marry her?
Say it again?
If she was not a cake face, like too much makeup, and she was a baddie, you would marry her?
Oh, I wouldn't marry her?
You would, you're saying?
I mean, it depends on the person, but generally, no.
Okay. So what's your ideal wife? How does your ideal wife look like?
6'8", about 280.
Wait, you said...
Yeah, I just playing around.
I'm like, he wants... Listen, I used to like tall women because I wanted tall children.
No, for real. 5'6", 5'8".
5'6", 5'8".
Entrepreneur in her bag, loves to be creative. And
entrepreneur is a boss lady. You know what that comes with, right? The boss lady person. Okay,
that's because I'm one. I think I would align with someone more because I understand the struggle and I know what it's like and I know what the sacrifices require.
Okay, that makes sense.
Right, so I can relate to that. What was the other part?
So, what's your ideal wife in your head?
Shout out to Arlette. You watched the 20 versus 1, the pop the balloon thing?
Did I watch that particular episode?
She has a bunch of episodes. She's
the balloon. Yeah. I don't watch the whole episode.
I've been watching a lot of that
on IG.
I've been watching a lot of that. And
what you learn from that?
It's just the different women out there and the different requirements that they want their man to have. And I hear a lot of similarities with a lot of different things. So it's just me learning how different women think when it comes to, dating seriously and being committed, because people go on that show for love.
I think people don't know how to date.
I think
they don't know how to date. So, for example, you go there and then you see these women who say, I want a good man. And then the man said, I'm a Christian. It's like, I don't know. I don't want to date a Christian because a Christian may, even though I'm Christian, make me go to church. Or the guy may say I'm an entrepreneur. I don't know what type of entrepreneur you're doing. Because an entrepreneur is going to be too busy.
All the time.
There was one person, I don't even remember what happened. The lady just said, I don't like the way you stand.
Yeah.
And popped the balloon.
I saw that.
Like some of the things that I see, I'm like, this is not real.
Man, use the word.
And if it is real, then I know the market is in the trend, like it's literally in the pits, but it is like it I don't understand why a man would want to date if those are the options. If these are the options that I have to select from, I'll just be single for the rest of my life. If I was single, like it doesn't make me want to date looking at those, like it's women.
Yeah, my dad was 40 and my mom was 20 years old.
Not so much on 40. I'm 42.
And right. He was 40, she was 20, and he was a DJ. She was like young and out there. And he just told me, don't date until you got at least $10,000 or $50,000 in your bank account where you can take somebody serious. So it's all different.
So is that finance again?
Yeah,
no romance.
It all comes back to that because it's all everything takes money. So
no, I mean I don't subscribe to the philosophy of poverty. I do not subscribe to the philosophy of poverty. I don't believe it's cool to being poor. I believe you should always gain more. Right. So I don't subscribe to that philosophy. Reverend Ike was like the reverend that I actually used to look up to because he didn't subscribe to it. But the whole notion of the finance to me was designed to help build the family, whether it's purchasing a home, making sure that you can ensure that your children are going to a pretty good public school or private school, you know, vacation, et cetera, but it wasn't for the bragging, the flexing, you know, the social media flexing, you know, and so I do believe in finance, but we need that romance, man. We can't, this pop the balloon generation, Arlette thing is it's like I said, it gives me an interesting perspective on how women think, and since I'm not out there dating consistently and getting that feedback, it's interesting to see it on YouTube and see, you know, 7 or 8 at a time talking about what they want, what they like, what they don't want. Do you meet women like that in real life in Miami? Because we in Miami.
I mean, there's a lot of tourism here, so it's hard to meet a lot of.
I'm talking about the local.
Oh, I mean,
what you hear them say?
I mean, it's all Miami culture, so it's like everybody's complaining about the dating scene, and you know, everybody's working because the city has went up so much in rent. So it's like everybody's just busy. You know, that's pretty much what I hear. But I'm not out there like that. You know, I focus on my work. So, you know, I told myself I give myself 2 more years and then I'm focused on being in a committed relationship and growing with a partner.
Like
but
marriage?
38 was my benchmark. I gave myself until 38.
How long you been single?
Around 2015, 2016. It's been a while.
Damn.
What is that? 9 years.
2015.
Yeah.
That's like 10 years.
10 years. My my goal when coming to Florida wasn't to get into a relationship.
I believe you. You wasn't dating for a decade.
It was to figure out my business way of working first.
Definitely
right.
Committed.
Creating my brand, getting my name out there, creating something that was reputable. And then the women come, right? They follow you if you have a good thing going. So, you know,
I always say don't chase your dream. Don't chase women. Chase
right,
your dream.
Chase your dream. Right. Exactly.
Said it wrong, of course.
Right. What's the right saying? Say it for the clip.
Well, chase your dream. Don't chase women.
Right.
You know, I actually even post that on my Facebook about I said don't chase P. You know, chase your purpose.
Right.
Yeah, you know, because that's where we fall short. Okay, and Deontae Mack, where can the people reach you?
So if you are interested in getting in contact with us, you can find us at projectmiamivibes.com or hit us up on the IG at Vibes BNB or my personal IG, Deon, DEON_MACK. You already know the vibes, 305 in the city, boy. Let's go.
It definitely was a pleasure interacting with you today,
Yes,
Mr.
sir.
Deontae Mack, the only Mack in town.
You already know what
this
it is.
Rudy Shango Theopin. Don't just be excellent. I'm out.